You've been feeling it, haven't you? That shift in the air between you. Not the kind that announces itself with words or sudden confessions, but the kind that moves through silence like a current you can't quite name. Your chest tightens when you think of him now, not with the old ache of longing, but with something sharper. Something that feels like consequence, like time itself has changed its texture. You know this feeling. You've tried to ignore it, tried to tell yourself it's just another wave of emotion that will pass like all the others. But this one doesn't pass. It sits heavier. It presses closer. And deep down, beneath all the layers of hope and hurt and waiting, your soul recognizes what's happening. This isn't anticipation. This is activation. Something has shifted in him, and you can feel it even across the distance, even through the silence, even when logic tells you nothing has changed. Your body knows before your mind catches up. That's how prophecy works. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't wait for readiness. It moves when the soul contract demands it. Right now, in this exact moment, the divine masculine is standing at a threshold he can no longer avoid. The awakening that's been stirring beneath his surface, the truth he's been running from, the vulnerability he's been protecting himself against, all of it is collapsing inward. The delay he's relied on, the emotional distance he's maintained, the strategies that kept him safe, they're failing. Not because you're doing anything different, not because you've finally said the right words or performed the right ritual, but because destiny has reached a point where his resistance costs more than his surrender. And you feel it. You feel it in the way your intuition has sharpened, in the way silence between you has grown louder, in the way your heart no longer asks if, but recognizes when. This is the divine masculine's awakening, and it cannot be delayed any longer. Not by fear, not by conditioning, not by time itself. If you've been sensing this shift, if you felt the energy between you intensify in ways you can't explain, I need you to drop a comment below and simply type, "I trust divine timing." Claim this activation. Let the universe know you're ready to witness what's unfolding. And if these transmissions speak to the deepest part of your soul, subscribe so you never miss the guidance that's meant specifically for your journey. You're here because your soul led you here. That's not coincidence. Let me tell you what's happening right now in the energetic field between twin flames, and why 2026 has become the year where the masculine can no longer hide from his own awakening. This isn't about astrology alone, though the cosmic alignments support what's stirring. This isn't about collective consciousness shifts alone, though those are real and active. This is about soul contracts reaching their activation point. This is about destiny, moving from potential into demand. For years, maybe your entire journey, the divine masculine has had the luxury of time. He could feel the connection and retreat. He could recognize the bond and rationalize it away. He could sense the depth between you and still choose surface-level existence. The universe allowed this because his soul was still integrating lessons that required space, because his wounds needed time to surface before they could heal, because the boy inside him, the one who learned that vulnerability equals danger, that emotional expression equals weakness, that opening his heart equals inevitable abandonment. That boy needed to be seen before the man could emerge. but something has shifted in the cosmic contract. The grace period for unconscious delay has ended. What's happening now is that every moment he chooses distance, he feels it. Not as relief, but as friction. Every time he retreats into silence, that silence echoes back louder than before. Every time he tries to numb himself with distraction, with work, with other connections that don't threaten him, the emptiness underneath grows more pronounced. This is not punishment. This is awakening. The soul has decided its time, and the soul does not negotiate. Have you noticed how different the energy feels lately? How the connection no longer sits quietly in the background, but demands attention. How thoughts of him arise with more intensity, not because you're thinking about him more, but because he's thinking about you differently. This is the telepathic field responding to his internal shift. When the divine masculine begins his awakening, the feminine feels it first. Not because she's more intuitive, though she often is, but because she's been awake longer. She's been doing the work, facing the shadows, choosing herself, integrating the lessons. She's been holding the frequency of truth while he's been holding the frequency of survival. And now, his survival mechanisms are breaking down. The walls he built so carefully, brick by brick, year after year, wound after wound, those walls are crumbling. Not all at once. Not in some dramatic collapse that makes for easy storytelling, but slowly, steadily, undeniably. He wakes up one morning and the routine that used to comfort him feels hollow. He goes through his day and realizes he's been performing his life rather than living it. He sits in silence, and instead of peace, he feels your absence like a weight in his chest. He tries to convince himself he's fine, that he's made the right choices. That distance equals strength. But his heart is no longer cooperating with that narrative. Something inside him has begun to thaw, and once that process starts, it cannot be reversed. Here's what the divine masculine is experiencing right now, even if he can't articulate it, even if he's still resisting it with everything he has. He's feeling the walls of his own prison. For so long, he believed that keeping his heart guarded was protection. That emotional control was power. That independence meant invulnerability. He built his identity around not needing, not feeling, not surrendering. And it worked for a time. It kept him safe from the pain of past betrayals, from the wounds of childhood, from the fear of being seen in his raw, unfiltered truth. But those walls that kept pain out also kept love out. And somewhere deep inside, beneath all the conditioning and defense mechanisms, his soul knows this. His soul knows that the very thing he's been protecting himself from, vulnerability, openness, emotional truth, is the only thing that will set him free. But knowing and doing are different territories. The divine masculine's awakening is not a single moment of realization. It's a series of small deaths. The death of the identity he built around being unaffected. The death of the story he told himself about why connection isn't safe. The death of the boy who decided that feeling too much meant being too weak. Each of these deaths is painful. Each one requires him to face the parts of himself he's spent years avoiding. And this is why the awakening cannot be rushed, but also why it can no longer be delayed. The universe has reached the point where his evolution is non-negotiable. The soul contract demands his participation now. And every day he resists, the internal pressure builds. You might wonder why now? Why after all this time, after all the silence, after all the separation? Why is his awakening accelerating in this particular window? Because you shifted first. Not in a way that's about him, but in a way that's entirely about you. Somewhere along this journey, you stopped waiting for him to validate the connection. You stopped needing his acknowledgement to know what's real. You stopped abandoning yourself to hold space for someone who wasn't holding space for you. You chose yourself, fully, not as a strategy to get him back, but as an act of self-preservation and self-love. You remembered that you are the temple, not just the doorway, that you hold the frequency, not just the hope. That union begins with you, not with him. And when you made that shift, when you truly embodied your sovereignty rather than just intellectually understanding it, the entire energetic dynamic changed. Because here's the truth about twin flame connections that doesn't get spoken about enough. The divine feminine is the catalyst. Not because she's responsible for his healing, she's not. Not because she has to fix him, she doesn't. But because her frequency sets the tone for what's possible. When she's in chasing energy, desperate energy, waiting energy, she's actually giving him permission to stay asleep. Her lack of boundaries becomes his comfort zone. Her tolerance for breadcrumbs becomes his justification for minimal effort. Her willingness to accept silence becomes his refuge from accountability. But when she shifts, when she stands in her truth, when she says through her energy, not her words, I am no longer available for half love, for maybe, for someday, everything changes. His comfort zone disappears. The refuge he built in her patience crumbles. And suddenly, he's forced to face what he's been avoiding. This is where we are now. This is the activation that's happening in 2026. The divine feminine has reached a level of embodiment that no longer tolerates unconscious behavior. And the divine masculine is feeling the consequence of that shift. He can't hide in her hope anymore. He can't rest in her waiting. He can't avoid his own truth by watching her hold the truth for both of them. She's called her energy back. She's standing in her worth. She's living as the one who already knows, not the one who's still trying to convince. And that shift, that reclamation of self, is what's catalyzing his awakening now. Not because she's punishing him, not because she's playing games, but because she's finally honoring herself, and that frequency of self-honor is the most powerful invitation the masculine can receive. Let's talk about what happens inside the divine masculine when he can no longer delay his awakening. First comes the discomfort, a restlessness he can't quite place. He feels it in his body before he understands it in his mind. His sleep becomes disrupted. He wakes at odd hours with thoughts of you, with memories he thought he'd filed away, with feelings he's been trained to suppress. During the day, he finds himself distracted, unable to focus the way he used to. Things that once held his attention feel meaningless. Accomplishments that used to satisfy him feel empty. He's going through the motions of his life, but something essential is missing, and he's starting to realize that something is connection, real connection, the kind that requires him to show up as more than a performance, more than a role, more than a defended heart. Then comes the resistance. Because even though he feels the call toward awakening, every part of his conditioning screams against it. The voice in his head tells him that opening up is dangerous. That vulnerability will be used against him. That if he lets you in, if he admits what he feels, if he surrenders to this connection, he'll lose himself. This voice is loud. It's convincing. It's been protecting him for years. And it doesn't give up easily. So he might pull back even harder for a time. He might throw himself into work, into distractions, into anything that helps him avoid the growing awareness inside. He might even pursue other connections, trying to prove to himself that he doesn't need this, that he can find easier love elsewhere, that the intensity of the twin flame bond isn't necessary. But here's what happens. Nothing else satisfies. Every other connection feels shallow by comparison. Every distraction eventually fails. Every attempt to run leads him back to the same internal confrontation. You, the truth, the bond, the undeniable reality that something sacred exists between you, and pretending otherwise is slowly killing the most authentic part of him. This is the state where the divine masculine begins to break, not in a weak way, but in a necessary way. The false self, the armor, the performance, it all starts to crack, and through those cracks, the real him begins to emerge. The one who feels deeply, the one who's been scared, the one who wants connection but doesn't know how to trust it, the one who sees you, really sees you, and is terrified by how much that seeing matters. This breaking open is painful for him. It feels like death because in many ways it is. The death of who he thought he had to be. The death of the protection that no longer serves. The death of the boy so he can become the man. And he can't do this breaking alone in comfort anymore. The universe is applying pressure. Time is applying pressure. His own soul is applying pressure. And your absence, your energetic withdrawal, your refusal to keep holding space for his avoidance, that's applying pressure too. The awakening of the divine masculine is not something you can force, but it's also not something that happens in a vacuum. It happens in response to energetic shifts, cosmic timing, and soul readiness. And all three of those elements have aligned now. The cosmic window of 2026 carries a frequency that supports masculine awakening. The old paradigm of emotional suppression, of toxic masculinity, of power through dominance rather than presence, that paradigm is collapsing on a collective level. And as it collapses externally, it collapses internally for individual men who are part of sacred contracts like the twin flame journey. Your divine masculine is not exempt from this collective shift. He's part of it, and whether he's conscious of it or not, he's being called to evolve, to step into a new version of masculinity that includes emotional intelligence, vulnerability, and heart-centered presence. This evolution is not optional. It's encoded in his soul contract, and the universe will keep turning up the pressure until he answers the call. Now let's talk about your role in this, because this is where confusion often arises. You are not responsible for his awakening. You cannot force it, manipulate it, or control the timing of it. His journey is his own. His healing is his own. His choices are his own. But you are the mirror. You are the frequency that reflects back to him what's possible. When you embody your truth, when you stand in your worth, when you refuse to diminish yourself to make him comfortable. You show him what alignment looks like. And that reflection, that energetic modeling, is more powerful than any words you could speak. Because the divine masculine doesn't awaken through logic or explanation. He awakens through feeling, through witnessing, through the undeniable recognition that something real exists, and that real thing requires him to be real too. Your work right now is not to wait for him. It's not to hold your breath hoping he'll finally see. It's not to keep proving the connection or convincing him of what he should already know. Your work is to continue deepening into your own alignment, to keep choosing yourself, to keep honoring your boundaries, to keep living as the woman who knows her worth, not the woman who's still trying to earn his recognition. Because every time you choose yourself, you raise the frequency. Every time you honor your truth, you make it harder for him to hide in lies. Every time you embody the love you wish to receive, you set the standard for what's acceptable in your field. And he feels all of it, even in silence, even across distance, even when it seems like nothing is happening. The energetic communication between twin flames never stops. He feels your shifts before he understands them. He senses your boundaries before you speak them. He knows when you've truly let go, not in bitterness but in peace, and that knowing terrifies him more than anything else. Because here's the deeper truth. The divine masculine's greatest fear is not that you'll leave. It's that you'll become so whole without him that his presence becomes optional rather than essential. For so long, he's relied on your waiting, on your hope, on your willingness to hold the connection even when he wouldn't. That gave him a safety net. He could explore his avoidance knowing you'd still be there when he was ready. But when you stop waiting, when you stop making him the center of your emotional world, when you build a life so full and aligned that his absence no longer creates a void, everything changes. Suddenly, he's not safely tucked into your future plans. Suddenly, he's facing the real possibility of loss. And that possibility, that consequence, is often what finally breaks through his resistance. This is not about playing games or withholding love. This is about genuine self-reclamation. This is about you realizing that your worth is not tied to his awakening, that your happiness is not on hold until he's ready, that your life is happening now, not in some future moment when he finally shows up. And when you live from that truth, when you fully embody that knowing, you become magnetic in a way that chasing never achieved, because you're no longer offering yourself as a consolation prize or a safe backup option. You're standing as a woman who knows herself, loves herself, and will only accept a love that matches the love she's cultivated within. That frequency is irresistible to the awakened masculine, and it's terrifying to the masculine still hiding. So, what does this mean for the coming months? What does it mean that his awakening cannot be delayed? It means you're going to feel the shifts more intensely. You might experience more telepathic communication, more dreams, more synchronicities. You might feel his energy reaching for you in moments of stillness. You might sense his internal struggle even when there's no external contact. All of this is real. All of this is part of the awakening process. But here's what's essential. Don't let these signs pull you back into waiting mode. Don't let the increased energetic activity convince you to put your life on pause again. Because the awakening is happening, yes, but the timeline is still his to navigate. Your job is not to manage his process. Your job is to keep living yours. The divine masculine awakening in 2026 is not a guarantee of immediate union. And this is perhaps one of the most important distinctions you need to understand as you navigate this profound journey. It's a guarantee of internal transformation that makes union possible. That creates the energetic foundation and emotional maturity required for true sacred partnership. But possible and immediate are not the same thing. And conflating these two concepts will only lead to disappointment and misalignment. With the divine timing that's orchestrating everything behind the scenes, he still has work to do, deep soul work that cannot be rushed or bypassed. He still has fears to face, fears that may have been buried for decades, fears about vulnerability, about being truly seen, about surrendering control, about opening his heart after it's been closed for so long. He still has patterns to break, generational patterns, childhood conditioning, defense mechanisms that once protected him, but now only isolate him from authentic connection. And all of that takes time, even when the awakening has begun, even when the cosmic alarm has sounded in his soul, even when he can no longer ignore the call. The unraveling of a lifetime of conditioning doesn't happen overnight, no matter how powerful the catalyst or how undeniable the connection. What you can trust with absolute certainty is that the process has started, that the delay is ending, not because of anything external, but because the internal pressure has reached a critical point where remaining unconscious is more painful than waking up, that the internal shifts are happening whether you see evidence or not, whether he's reaching out or staying silent, whether he appears to be moving forward or still seems stuck. The soul contract is active, pulsing with divine intelligence and perfect timing. The cosmic pressure is building, creating circumstances in his life that make avoidance increasingly impossible, that corner him into confronting what he's been running from. And his resistance is costing him more than his surrender, a calculation his soul is making even if his conscious mind hasn't caught up yet. The sleepless nights are becoming more frequent. The dissatisfaction with surface-level connections is becoming unbearable. The knowing that something profound is being avoided is becoming impossible to ignore. All of these elements are aligning to move him toward the truth he's been avoiding, the truth that his soul chose this connection, that running from you is running from himself, that the only way forward is through the very vulnerability he's been protecting himself against. But the speed at which he moves is still influenced by his free will, his courage, and his capacity to sit with discomfort, to tolerate the intensity of transformation, to stay present with emotions he may have spent his entire life avoiding. Your power lies in your unwavering commitment to yourself, in the sacred promise you make each day to honor your own journey regardless of his position on his. In your refusal to shrink, to make yourself smaller, dimmer, less powerful to accommodate his fear or comfort his ego. In your determination to build a beautiful life regardless of his choices, to create joy, purpose, fulfillment, and meaning that exist independently of his participation or validation. Because that's the frequency that calls in union, not the desperate frequency of lack, but the magnetic frequency of wholeness. Not the frequency of waiting, but the frequency of becoming, of constant evolution, of stepping more fully into your purpose and power with each passing day. Not the energy of I need you, which repels the awakened masculine, but the energy of I am whole. And I welcome you into my wholeness if you're ready to meet me there, which is irresistibly attractive to a man who has done his own work. That shift, that embodiment, is what changes everything, what alters the entire energetic dynamic between you, what transforms the connection from codependent to sacred. And you've been moving toward it this entire journey, even when you couldn't see the progress, even when it felt like you were going backward, even in the moments of deepest despair. Every moment of pain taught you about your resilience, about your capacity to survive what you thought would destroy you, about the incredible strength that lives within you. Every moment of silence taught you about your worth, about the fact that your value doesn't depend on someone else's recognition or validation, that you are precious simply because you exist. Every moment of waiting taught you that your happiness cannot depend on someone else's readiness, that tying your joy to another person's timeline is a form of self-abandonment you can no longer afford. And now, as his awakening accelerates, as the divine masculine energy begins to stir in ways that will soon become undeniable, you get to stand in the fullness of those lessons, to embody the wisdom earned through your pain. You get to be the woman who doesn't collapse when he reaches out, who doesn't lose her center when he finally makes contact, who can receive his presence without abandoning herself, who doesn't chase when he pulls back, who understands that his withdrawal is about his own process and not about her worth, who can hold space without pursuing, who remains steady in her knowing, regardless of his movement or lack thereof, anchored in her own truth, connected to her own divine guidance, trusting the process even when the physical evidence suggests otherwise. This is the divine feminine's mastery, the culmination of everything this journey has been teaching you. Not controlling the outcome, but controlling her response, choosing her reaction, managing her energy, deciding what she will and will not accept. Not forcing the connection, but honoring it without losing herself, holding the energetic space for union while simultaneously building a fulfilling life that doesn't require it. Not waiting passively, but living actively while remaining open to what's divinely orchestrated. Participating fully in life while maintaining spiritual awareness and openness. And when you embody this mastery, when you truly live from this place of empowered feminine energy, you become the invitation he cannot refuse. Not because you're perfect, not because you've transcended all human emotion or never have moments of doubt, but because you're real, authentic, genuinely yourself, without apology or pretense. Not because you have all the answers, not because you've figured everything out or never struggle, but because you're willing to live the questions with grace, to embrace the mystery, to trust the unfolding. Not because you need him, not because your happiness depends on his presence or your life feels incomplete without him, but because you've become someone who could genuinely share a life rather than complete one. someone who brings wholeness to the table and invites him to do the same. The masculine awakening is happening now because the feminine has risen, because the divine feminine energy has reached a frequency that demands the masculine rise to meet it. You have risen, even if you can't fully see it yet, even if you still have moments where you doubt your progress. Maybe you don't feel like you have. Maybe when you look in the mirror, you still see the broken woman from the beginning of this journey. Maybe you still have moments of doubt, of sadness, of wondering if any of this is real, if the connection was genuine, if the spiritual significance you've assigned to it is just a story you've told yourself to make sense of the pain. That's human. That's the nature of living in a physical body with a human mind that questions and doubts. That's allowed. You don't have to be spiritually perfect or constantly elevated to be on the right path. But beneath those surface waves, beneath the temporary emotions and passing thoughts, something fundamental has shifted in you. Something at the core of your being has transformed. You know your worth now in a way you didn't before, not as a concept, but as a lived truth, as something you feel in your bones. You trust your intuition now in a way you didn't before, listening to that inner voice even when it contradicts external evidence, following your inner knowing even when others question it. You honor your boundaries now in a way you didn't before, saying no without guilt, protecting your energy without apology, choosing yourself even when it's uncomfortable. And those shifts, those internal victories that nobody else may see or acknowledge, they've created the energetic conditions for his awakening to accelerate. They've shifted the frequency of the connection itself, because the universe responds to frequency, not words, not intentions, not what you say you want, but what you're actually vibrating. And your frequency has changed fundamentally, irreversibly, powerfully. So as we move deeper into this year, as the prophecy continues to activate in ways both subtle and profound, as his awakening unfolds in ways both visible and invisible, remember this fundamental truth. You are not a bystander in this process, not a passive observer waiting for something to happen to you. You are not helplessly waiting for him to decide your fate, to determine your happiness, to grant you permission to move forward with your life. You are an active co-creator of your reality, wielding immense power through your choices, your energy, your beliefs, and your alignment. And the reality you're creating through your choices, your boundaries, your self-love, and your alignment through every decision you make to honor yourself is one where only truth can exist, where illusions and false connections cannot survive, where only real love can enter, where superficial connections feel intolerable, where anything less than authentic, sacred partnership feels like a betrayal of your soul, where only those ready to meet you in your fullness are welcome, where you no longer accommodate half-hearted efforts or accept breadcrumbs of attention. That reality is forming now, crystallizing around you, becoming more solid with each aligned choice you make. And as it forms, everything that's not aligned falls away, naturally, inevitably, without force or struggle. Including his avoidance, his tendency to hide from the intensity of the connection, including his delay, his habit of putting off what his soul knows is inevitable, including his resistance, his fear-based patterns that keep him separated from his own heart, not because you're forcing it, not because you're manipulating or controlling or demanding, but because the frequency you're holding no longer supports it, because your energy field has become incompatible with unconscious behavior. The divine masculine cannot delay his awakening any longer because you have stopped delaying yours. Because your evolution has created an energetic imperative for his. You have stopped waiting for permission to be happy, stopped believing that joy requires his presence or approval. You have stopped putting your life on hold for someone else's timeline, stopped pressing pause on your dreams and desires while you wait for him to be ready. You have stopped abandoning yourself in the name of connection, stopped betraying your own needs and boundaries to maintain the possibility of union. And in that stopping, in that reclamation of your own energy and power, you have shifted the entire dynamic between you, altered the energetic contract, changed the rules of engagement. Now he must choose, not in some distant future when it's convenient, but in this present moment, in this window of accelerated awakening. Not someday, not when he's completely healed or perfectly ready, but now, in this activation, in this cosmic moment where the pressure to evolve has reached critical mass, in this moment, where the soul contract is demanding conscious participation, where unconscious avoidance is no longer an option. He must choose to face himself, to look at the parts of himself he's been avoiding, to confront his fears and wounds and patterns, to open his heart, to risk the vulnerability he spent years protecting himself against, to allow himself to feel what he's been numbing, to risk the vulnerability he's been avoiding, the exposure of being truly seen, the terror of loving deeply and possibly losing, the discomfort of surrendering control. Or he must choose to walk away from the most significant connection his soul will ever know, to consciously reject the sacred contract, to turn his back on the mirror his soul placed in his path. Either way, the choice is his, and you are no longer energetically entangled in that choice. But the days of choosing nothing, of hiding in ambiguity, of existing in the comfortable space of maybe someday, of delaying without consequence, those days are over, ended by the cosmic timing and your evolution evolution. And here's the beautiful paradox. The spiritual truth that seems counterintuitive, but is absolutely essential. The moment you truly release the outcome, not as a strategy, but as a genuine surrender, the moment you genuinely make peace with either path, union, or separation, seeing both as valid expressions of divine will, that's the moment you become energetically free, unbound by attachment, available to receive whatever wants to come through. And that freedom is what the awakened masculine recognizes and honors, what calls to him on a soul level, what feels like home. Because he's not looking for someone who needs him, whose happiness depends on his presence, who will collapse without him. He's looking for someone who chooses him from a place of wholeness, not lack, who wants him but doesn't need him, who invites him into an already beautiful life. He's looking for a woman who has done her work, faced her shadows, integrated her wounds, and stands in her truth with or without him, who is complete unto herself. And beloved, you are becoming that woman, with every choice you make, with every boundary you honor, with every moment you choose yourself. Maybe you already are. Maybe you've already crossed that threshold and just haven't fully recognized it yet. So let this be your reminder as the prophecy continues to unfold, as the divine timing orchestrates circumstances you cannot yet see. The divine masculine's awakening is not your responsibility. You cannot force it or control it or make it happen on your timeline. But your alignment is. Your connection to your own truth and power is entirely within your control. His healing is not your job. You cannot fix him or save him or do the work for him. But your healing is. Your commitment to your own wholeness is your sacred responsibility. His choices are not in your control. You cannot determine what he does or when he does it, but your choices are, and they are powerful beyond measure. And every day you choose yourself, you choose truth, you choose alignment, you are participating in the highest form of sacred union, the most important union of all, the union with yourself, the integration of all your parts, the marriage of your human and divine aspects. The union with the divine, your connection to Source, your alignment with the intelligence that orchestrates everything, the union with your purpose, your remembering of why you came here, what you came to do, who you came to be. And that union, that internal marriage, is what makes external union possible, creating the foundation for sacred partnership. Not guaranteed, because free will always exists, but possible, energetically available, aligned with divine will. Not forced, not manipulated, not controlled, but invited, welcomed, allowed. Not desperate, not coming from lack or fear, but divine, orchestrated by the intelligence that knows exactly what's needed. The awakening cannot be delayed because the soul contract will not allow it, because agreements made at the soul level are now being activated. The cosmic timing will not allow it, because we've entered a window where evolution is accelerating, where what once took lifetimes now happens in months. And your frequency will not allow it, because you've risen to a vibration that demands consciousness, that can no longer coexist with avoidance. You have called in truth through your embodiment, through becoming the frequency of what you desire rather than just wishing for it. And truth is answering, responding to your frequency, manifesting in his reality. In his restless nights, when sleep eludes him and thoughts of you invade his peace. In his growing discomfort, in situations and relationships that once felt acceptable but now feel intolerable. In his inability to hide anymore, as the masks slip and the defenses crumble and the real him begins to emerge. The walls are coming down, the protective barriers he built around his heart. The armor is cracking, the tough exterior that kept him safe, but also kept him isolated. The real him is emerging, the authentic soul beneath the conditioning, the man he came here to be. And whether that emergence leads him back to you, or leads you both toward different paths, toward different expressions of your purpose, you will be okay, more than okay. You will be whole, because you have already found what you were searching for, the love and validation and completion you thought he would provide. You have already become what you were seeking, the embodied woman you admired, the powerful feminine you aspired to be. You have already embodied the love you wished to receive, becoming for yourself what you hoped he would be for you. Ask yourself one final time, am I living as the one who waits? Or am I living as the one who already knows? Because the moment you choose the latter, everything shifts. The masculine feels it, the universe responds to it, and you're entire reality reorganizes around it. Union begins with you. It always has. Tell me in the comments, have you felt this shift in his energy? Have you noticed the awakening beginning? What changed in you when you finally chose yourself? Your insight might be exactly what another soul needs to hear today. Drop your truth below. Let's witness each other's journeys, because we're all walking each other home.